In 2003, Real Madrid had just won La Liga. Their manager, Vicente Del Bosque, had won 2 titles and 2 Champions Leagues in just 4 years. He managed the egos of Zidane, Figo, Beckham, Roberto Carlos, Raul and Ronaldo. He's the architect of the Galacticos' success. But just days after this triumph, he was gone. President Florentino Perez believed the team was too big to fail. He was wrong. Catastrophically wrong. The Galacticos collapsed. The team, built to win every trophy in sight, went 3 straight years without winning anything at all. This is the catastrophic fall of Real Madrid's original Galacticos. The story of the Galacticos starts not with a transfer, but with a political election that changed the financial landscape of football forever. As the millennium approached, Real Madrid under President Lorenzo Sanz had finally ended its decades-long European Cup drought, winning in '98 and again in 2000. Sanz was the incumbent, confident that 2 continental trophies would guarantee his re-election in the summer of 2000. And Sanz even brought the election forward to capitalise on the goodwill. He was utterly confident. But the club was also saddled with significant debt, and this opened the door for Florentino Perez, a civil engineer and construction magnate who saw Real Madrid not as a successful sporting project, but as a colossal, underperforming global brand that needed a ruthless business plan. Perez understood that to win the presidency, he couldn't just promise success, he had to promise the impossible. Perez's campaign was based on 2 huge, jaw-dropping promises. The first was to solve the club's financial crisis. He vowed to clear the debt with a financial masterstroke, selling the central training ground of the club, which sat on prime, high-value real estate in the heart of Madrid. The complex sat on land worth a fortune. He successfully sold it for an astonishing €480 million. The club cleared its debts, built a state-of-the-art new training facility for a fraction of the cost, and crucially, generated a massive slush fund for transfers. He told the membership that he was restoring the club to the principles established by the greatest president, Santiago Bernabeu. Bernabeu had built the club's identity on aggressively signing the world's most talented players, the proto-Galacticos like Di Stefano and Puskas, to ensure global dominance. Perez framed himself as Bernabeu's true heir. Only by acquiring the world's top talent could Real Madrid truly live up to its historical expectation. The second promise was the most stunning, and the true foundations of the Galacticos era. Perez vowed that if elected, he would sign Luis Figo for Madrid's bitter, existential rivals, Barcelona. This was the ultimate act of confidence and provocation. Figo was Barcelona's captain, their talisman, and arguably the best player in the world at the time. Perez had secured a pre-contract agreement with Figo's agent. If Perez won, Figo signed. If Perez lost, he would personally pay Figo a massive penalty fee. The gamble paid off in spectacular fashion. Perez won the election, stunning the football world, and Luis Figo became a Real Madrid player for a then world record fee of €62 million in the summer of 2000. The message was sent. Real Madrid could and would buy anyone, from anywhere, at any cost. The word Galacticos was now permanently affixed to the club, marking the start of a 6-year policy to acquire 1 superstar every summer. The Galactico philosophy was born. More superstars lead to more wins, which generate more global appeal, resulting in more revenue and the ability to buy more superstars, a cycle that seemed unstoppable. The years that followed Perez's election were a relentless exhibition of the club's financial and marketing power. The goal was to assemble the greatest collection of stars in the sport, ensuring commercial revenue and undeniable sporting brilliance. Perez formalised his vision under the principle of Zidanes and Pavones. The Zidanes were the superstars who guaranteed sporting success and commercial revenue. The Pavones, named after defender Francisco Pavón, were the talented, cost-effective youth players who would fill out the structural roles. The superstars would pay for the entire operation through their image rights and global appeal. The first Galactico era, defined by Perez's first presidency from 2000 to 2006, saw the arrival of a superstar every summer. It was a rapid, aggressive assembly of footballing stars, each acquisition breaking the previous ceiling. The core was built on 4 transfers. In 2000, Luis Figo arrived. The following summer saw the signing of Zidane from Juventus for €77 million, breaking the record again. The quintessential artist brought to Madrid, the iconic name for the new policy. Then in 2002, Ronaldo was secured from Inter Milan, with Beckham joining the following year, bought from Manchester United. The ultimate commercial coup, bridging the gap between football and global celebrity. Owen arrived for a nominal fee in 2004, and Robinho in 2005, with Sergio Ramos joining in the same summer from Sevilla for €27 million. Crucially, these arrivals were layered upon a spine of existing talent, many of whom had won the Champions League before. Players like Iker Casillas, Roberto Carlos, Fernando Hierro, Raul, Guti, and the indispensable Claude Makelele. The pieces were in place for global domination. The initial sporting success was dazzling. Figo made his debut in August 2000, the most controversial transfer in modern football. But Figo delivered immediately, helping Real Madrid to a commanding start. The defining images from the season came when Figo returned to play Barcelona in El Clasico. Fans made their displeasure with the transfer known, pelting their former captain with objects from the stands. The title was sealed in spectacular fashion in June 2001, with a comprehensive 5-1 thrashing of Alaves. Real Madrid finished with 80 points and became La Liga champions. The project had delivered immediately. But Europe remained elusive. The Champions League campaign ended in the semi-finals against Bayern Munich. Close, but not close enough. The continent's biggest prize still beckoned. Zidane's arrival in July 2001 for a then world record fee created impossible expectations. His La Liga debut in August at Valencia's Mestalla became an immediate reality check. The first half was vintage Zidane, elegant, effortless, brilliant. But the second half heat exposed his lack of match fitness. He struggled, missed key chances, and Real Madrid lost. The Spanish press questioned whether the world's most expensive player could handle La Liga's intensity. The domestic season became a nightmare. Real Madrid finished third in La Liga with just 66 points, their worst finish under Del Bosque. They also lost the Copa del Rey final to Deportivo. The Galacticos were struggling to find week-in, week-out consistency. But this time in Europe, it was different. The Champions League campaign built momentum through the knockout stages, and the final at Hampden Park in Glasgow against Bayer Leverkusen became the stage for redemption. The match was tense, locked at 1-1, and then in the 45th minute, Roberto Carlos launched a cross from the left. The ball hung in the air. Zidane, positioned on the edge of the box, watched it arc towards him. His left foot volley rocketed into the top corner. The perfect goal, one of the greatest in Champions League history. It was Real Madrid's 9th European Cup, and Zidane had justified his price tag with a single, immortal strike. The 2002-03 season became the Galacticos' final domestic triumph. Real Madrid won La Liga with 78 points. The campaign featured dominant performances, a 5-1 demolition of Alaves away, a commanding 4-1 victory over Racing Santander. But the cracks were already forming. The team relied heavily on individual brilliance rather than collective cohesion, and Del Bosque's man management had held their egos together. But the tactical imbalance was becoming evident. Just days after Real Madrid clinched the title, Del Bosque was gone. The development shocked the football world. The coach who delivered 2 Champions League titles and 2 La Liga championships was dismissed. The golden era was over and the decline was about to set in. Claude Makelele's departure in the summer of 2003 was immediately catastrophic. The defensive shield was gone. The midfield became an open highway for opposition attacks. Real Madrid's defensive fragility was exposed repeatedly. They lost their final 5 La Liga matches of the season, including a painful 2-1 defeat in El Clasico. The team finished 4th, their worst league position in years. No trophies, no glory. Carlos Queiroz, the new manager, was powerless. Reports emerged that he was forced to select the Galacticos regardless of form to maximise marketing potential. The 2004-05 season offered no respite. Real Madrid finished 2nd, losing 2-1 to Barcelona in a crucial encounter. Without a quality defensive midfielder, the team remained vulnerable to counterattacks. The tactical imbalance was terminal. Beckham played awkwardly in central midfield. Figo was pushed to the left wing. Zidane and Raul operated in congested spaces. The four attacking superstars had no protection, no structure, no balance. Another trophyless season and another year of underachievement. The lowest point arrived in November 2005. Barcelona visited the Bernabeu for El Clasico, and what followed was a complete humiliation. Samuel Eto'o, the striker whose rights Real Madrid had sold, opened the scoring in the 14th minute. Ronaldinho, the player they chose not to sign, added a second. And then in the 77th minute, Ronaldinho produced a moment of such brilliance that the Bernabeu crowd did the unthinkable. They applauded him off the pitch. A standing ovation for a Barcelona player at the Bernabeu. Worse was to come. In the Copa del Rey semi-final, Real Zaragoza demolished Real Madrid 6-1 in the first leg, and they were unable to turn the tie round. The Champions League, the competition the Galacticos were built to dominate, delivered the final blow. In the round of 16, Arsenal visited the Bernabeu, and Thierry Henry embarked on a solo run that exposed every weakness in Real Madrid's defence. He glided past Ronaldo, Guti, Ramos, past Casillas and scored. Arsenal became the first English team to win at the Bernabeu. The second leg finished 0-0 and Real Madrid were eliminated without scoring a single goal across two legs. Finally, in February 2006, Florentino Perez resigned, and the Galacticos era was over. The decline began immediately after the 2003 La Liga triumph. The subsequent 3 seasons were a barren spell, an absolute trophy drought that shocked the football world. The club failed to win any major honour, suffering its worst period of failure since the early 1950s. The reasons were structural, tactical, and managerial. The single most cited and catastrophic error was the departure of Claude Makelele in the summer of 2003 as Beckham arrived. Makelele was the world's finest defensive midfielder, and the silent foundation of the Galacticos' success. He was the tireless, intelligent shield for the back four, covering for the frequently attacking fullbacks Carlos and Salgado, and allowing the 4 creative superstars ahead of him total freedom. He was indispensable. Makelele requested a salary rise reflective of his crucial importance. Perez, viewing him as a functional, non-glamorous player with a low commercial value, infamously dismissed his request. He wasn't a header of the ball, and he rarely passed the ball more than 3 metres, Perez said. Younger players will arrive who will cause Makelele to be forgotten. Makelele was sold to Chelsea, and he became the centrepiece of their own successful era. His departure was a massive, self-inflicted wound that exposed the entire defensive unit. Real Madrid's midfield became an empty space. The term the Makelele role was coined to describe the indispensable nature of the position Perez had failed to value. Without a protective screen, the team suffered a chronic lack of balance. Attempts to replace him with players like Thomas Gravesen failed to provide the necessary stability. The other critical error was the shocking dismissal of coach Vicente Del Bosque in 2003. Del Bosque was a patient, humble manager who excelled at one crucial task: managing the huge egos of the Galacticos. He fostered unity and maintained balance. Perez, seeking a more modern and glamorous image, fired Del Bosque and replaced him with Carlos Queiroz, an assistant coach from Manchester United. It's widely reported that Queiroz was forced to pick the star players regardless of form to maximise marketing potential, a situation that Steve McManaman later called the Disneyfication of Real Madrid. The managerial instability that followed was fatal. Queiroz lasted 1 trophyless season, followed by a high turnover of 4 managers and 4 directors of football in the 4 years following Del Bosque's sacking. This lack of continuity meant the star-studded individual players never formed a cohesive, working team. They failed to deliver the great team success expected of them. Furthermore, Del Bosque's exit was quickly followed by the forced departures of veteran captains like Fernando Hierro and Fernando Morientes, players who had publicly supported Makelele, including a political split against Perez's policies. The policy of balancing superstars with youth graduates failed because the players were simply not of the quality required to fill the key defensive and squad roles at a club aiming for continental domination. Pavon never lived up to expectations. and the policy proved incapable of producing world-class depth that was required to challenge on all fronts. The focus on marketing actively damaged the team's preparation and chemistry. The signing of David Beckham in 2003 exemplified this. Commercially, he was huge. Massive appeal, particularly in Asia. The club's decision to pursue Beckham over Ronaldinho proved particularly costly, as Ronaldinho went on to lead Barcelona's powerful resurgence. Furthermore, the 2003 pre-season tour in Asia, organised to cash in on Beckham's appeal, was a massive commercial success, earning the club millions. But it was brutal on the players. An 18-day exhausting, publicity-heavy trip with limited proper training. It prioritised the balance sheet over physical conditioning, and the players were left exhausted and ill-prepared for the new season, contributing directly to the slow start and subsequent collapse. A direct example of a commercial model actively undermining the sporting project. Finally, the transfer policy suffered a massive blunder, none more painful than the handling of Samuel Eto'o. Real Madrid owned 50% of the rights to the highly rated striker, but Perez chose to sell those rights in 2004, arguing the club already had the two best strikers in the world in Ronaldo and Raul. Eto'o went on to join Barcelona and became the spearhead of their attack, winning multiple La Liga titles and Champions Leagues, while scoring goals directly against his former owners. Perez was succeeded by Ramon Calderón, who immediately began the painful process of dismantling the failed team. The final season of the original Galacticos era is considered to be 2006-07. Zidane had retired after the 2006 World Cup. Ronaldo departed for AC Milan in January, having fallen out of favour. Luis Figo had already left for Inter Milan 2 seasons before, and the remaining superstars were sold, retired or gradually phased out. Calderón's first move was to hire Fabio Capello, a proven disciplinarian with a mandate of reining in the players and clearing out the deadwood. Capello's transfer policy immediately prioritised structure over glamour. He brought in players like World Cup winning captain Cannavaro and prolific striker Ruud van Nistelrooy, signings driven purely by tactical necessity. Capello famously dropped the last of the core of the Galacticos, David Beckham, citing a lack of integration and poor form. Although Beckham was later reinstated and proved crucial to the title run-in, his departure for LA Galaxy at the end of the season was a symbolic end of the dynasty. Beckham was the last of the Big Four to move on. Despite winning the title in 2006-07 by instilling fierce discipline, Capello was controversially sacked by Calderón because his style of football was deemed unattractive. This sacking highlighted that while the Galacticos' philosophy of glamorous football was temporarily abandoned, the deep-seated instability at the presidential and managerial level remained. Under Capello's successor, Bernd Schuster, the team won another league title in 2007-08, but the club continued to fail spectacularly in the Champions League, suffering consecutive round of 16 exits to Arsenal, Bayern Munich and Roma. The team that believed it had a divine right to the European Cup had become a guaranteed failure in the knockout stages, chasing the elusive La Decima, the 10th European Cup, for years. The first Galacticos era remains one of the most compelling contradictions in football history. Economically, it was a profound triumph. Real Madrid established the template for the modern, globally monetised football club, setting revenue records that competitors scrambled to match. The club became a brand that transcended football. Sportingly, it was underwhelming at best, and a comprehensive failure at worst. The club that claimed the title of the best club in the history went 3 straight seasons without winning a trophy. The focus on individual brilliance and commercial value suspended the fundamental tactical requirements of balance. The trophies, which were meant to tell the whole story, simply dried up. The word Galactico lost its luster. It shifted from meaning superstar to meaning a player associated with ego, imbalance, and failure. The failure of the first Galacticos was a lesson that the club and the world would never forget. That money can buy the best players, but only discipline, humility, and tactical wisdom can build the best team. If you enjoyed this story about Real Madrid's Galacticos era, check out some of my other Spanish football stories such as Deportivo and Valencia. What are your memories of this first Galacticos side? Let us know in the comments below. And in the meantime, stay tuned for more football history. One incredible story